Hey, what's up guys, New Gang Dragon here, and I welcome you all on my next weapon to cover up in my Payday 2 Armory. I'm talking about a weapon that hails from Germany, but manufactured by Heckler & Koch, where it's starting out to become the king of SMGs and rise up to dethrone the Uzi that was the king of SMGs during the 1950s, but in the 1960s it won that crown, and it's still been used by police force and counterterrorism all over the globe to this day, and it's probably recognizable thanks to use by the SAS during the liberation of the embassy RM or something like that. And of course, I'm talking about the HK MP5, a very, well, of course, one of my favorite SMGs and probably the most popular one out there, also in video games as well, definitely in COD. So the MP5 or Machine Pistola 5 is a classic SMG. So let's see the stats on this weapon. So it has a magazine of 30 rounds, total ammo of 210, rate of fire of 750 RPM. Sometimes it can reach up to 800 RPM and also to maybe to 850 RPM, depend on the weapon and the variant. Damage of 44, accuracy of 44, stability of 80, concealment of 24, threat of 6, and reload time of 3.6 seconds. And you can see I have a lot of MP5s here on this page. That's because I marked them with different variants. I will go over those variants, but let's focus on the original gun itself. Of course, this particular model, this base MP5, is actually the variant of it is the MP5A2. Even though it says by Evan, well, actually, of course, reading in Wikipedia, it says evident by its 3-point fire selector and fixed stock. Of course, this weapon did got a makeover in terms of its texture, so it's much more better. So let's actually get to the closer to look at the gun. And you can see there's a little bit of a pin to hold the left guard, or basically the hand guard. And of course we have the charging handle that you can pull all the way to the back and then put it up. Nice little feature, or safety. And then we have, as we look at the magazine, well, we see the word caliber 9mm by 19. So that's actually standing for, it's of course fires the caliber of the 9x19mm Paderborn round, which is German for prepare for war. Of course, the first 9mm cartridge for that will be the Luger pistol. And you definitely see a lot of these 9mm SMGs and pistols with it. As we look at the magazine, we see it's restricted law enforcement / government use only. In 1094. I don't know about the number of the 1094 is, but I presume that the Payday King, just like the Glock 17, the Payday King must have stole this in a sort of armory that the FBI or some government has these. And of course it says Compact 5, which, well, it's supposed to be the MP5, and it says SNG Vina. I think it's supposed to mean, of course it says Schneefer and Gewehr, and of course it's made in Germany. Of course, it's, since they don't have the license for the actual weapon company, which is actually HK or Heckler & Koch, that's why they don't want to pour in the money to make a license copy with the actual brand. And then we have the fire select. If you can see, there's a little magazine release, basically between the handguard and the magazine. And we have the select fire, and this is one of my favorite type of select fires I like to see. The red bullets with so many is full auto, the one red bullet is single fire, and the bullet with an X is safety. And this is the best part, you just need pictures, you don't even need words. But words are okay too. And we see there's also two other pins to hold the stock in place, or at least weld it, or mostly piece them together. And this is a very solid stock. And as we look over to the right side, it's ambidextrous, at least for the fire selector. Of course, you can see it fires from an open bolt, although it looks like it's closed. And of course, we have more readings. Made in Germany, and it says weapon incorporated. It said more stuff in German. So there we go. And of course, as you can see, the iron sights are not really the brightest of them all. And of course, you can see this little piece up here at the top, like a little square piece at the top. This helped to make a scope mount for the MP5 or mount other optics. And you can definitely see the rear sight. It can be adjustable. You see there's of course hole here when you look at the rear side, and then you see there's other ones as well to change for different meters to fire at what range you want to fire it. So there's like 4 type of sights, but sadly you can only change it to 1. And another thing to note is that these grooves that's inside the gun are used for de-adjustable stock. So let's actually see the attachments you could put on. Of course, you could put on any barrel extensions, as like most other guns, any type of boost, any custom mode. Now the foregrips are a little more different. Of course, you have the circus barrel, which is basically a shorter barrel. Of course, you lose a lot of stability by gaining some concealment. The Policerel tactical barrel, which is essentially a more modern version of it. Of course, you have the Ninja barrel, which is basically give it a integrated suppressor and one of the best looking MP5s. You got the Enlightened foregrip, which is probably one of the cool one as well, especially that comes with a built-in flashlight, which is actually pretty damn cool. And you'll probably see this type of MP5 in Payday the Heist. Of course, you put on gadget, and the cool thing, you have even a straight magazine, which, funny enough, it doesn't increase magazine capacity or increase damage. It used to increase damage before, but it also didn't lose concealment, but you lose a lot of stability. But they kind of changed it now since they buffed the damage. So actually, as we look at the magazine, there's some more writings to it as well. And by the looks of it, it says 10mm auto. So you switch the ammunition from the 9mm to a 10mm round. And it says auto, made in USA. And I feel like there's a warning in, like a warning manual in law enforcement only. And it's like a straight magazine too. It's like a straight box magazine. You could put on any sight. Oh, let me switch to barrel or the foregrip. Alright, when you put on a sight, let's actually put on a different sight this time. Let's say a holographic sight. It actually comes with its own little scope mount, which include the pigtail rails, and you can just snap onto the gun. And now when it comes to the stock, we have 3 different stock. We have the adjustable stock, and of course you can see it changes the gun a little bit. And you can see you can actually adjust the stock even more to length out, or basically make it a little more compact. And you can see where the grooves actually comes into place. The bare essential stock, it's basically took no stock, and well, since there's no action behind the stock or inside, that's perfectly good. And of course, when you add that, you get a nice little sling with it to be able to mount it up. And of course, you have the Spartan stock, which acquired from the Gauge Spec Ops pack, including the Enlightened foregrip. And you can see the stock. It's also look like a folding stock, and it does have a big sling on the side. Of course, all that increased stability. So yeah. Alright, now let's talk about these 5 MP5s I have going for. So the one with the, of course, one with the stock is a MP5A free, and that's the one just adjustable stock. Looks pretty badass with that stock around. The next one is the MP5 SD2, and the SD is it's German for sound damper, of course, by the noise it makes. Next is, of course, adding both of those attachments, the adjustable stock and the Ninja barrel, you get the MP5 SD free. The next one here is the MP5K with that shorter barrel or foregrip and no stock. And the MP5K is the one that actually shoots a bit faster than the normal MP5. And you can actually use, and funny enough, there's even a briefcase of the MP5K. You can actually shoot a briefcase gun. And what's going to be contained inside the briefcase is an MP5K. It's just a perfect shape. Honestly, I see even a video of it, like a test video of it. It's freaking awesome. And of course, the MP5K does have the pig tinny rails to mount the, gadgets for flashlight and laser sight, and below would be for a foregrip, which would be pretty helpful for this weapon, especially how its stability is pretty awful. And adding the shorter foregrip and the Spartan stock will transform this to an MP5K PDW. While PDW stands for Personal Defense Weapon, it would probably need to fire a different caliber. I didn't really study much with the MP5K PDW, but yeah, that's quite a lot of MP5 variants. And yes, I will do more of these larger variants with these attachments because it's just awesome to explore and experience with. And of course, I also have the akimbo version as well, which the only difference is they did was they remove the stock, so you can't put any stock attachment, you can't put any sights, which is unfortunate, but that's what you get. Also, I will use this fully decked out MP5. I have quite a lot, and no, I am not gonna I'm not gonna use these ones to the testing because it's just little minor differences to see. But of course, I will use a fully decked out MP5, which I have right here. Of course, it's looked pretty a normal gun compared to the M car. And also a fully decked out Kimmel versions. Well, that's enough info. Now let's head on to the firing range. Hey, welcome back, guys. Now we're actually going to test out the capability of the MP5. So, let's actually get this thing loaded up. And that beautiful HK slap. Alright, just gonna go fire in single fire. And you can tell by the iron sights are really terrible. They are, god awful. Sometimes they will chop off the rear sight to make it much clearer, but this doesn't even look impressive. That's why sight is usually much needed on this gun. Alright, here we go. bad for a type grouping for semi-auto. It looks like I did a sad face with the two of these together. Well, now it's time for the fun mode. Of course, it definitely shoots a bit fast. Alright, now it's time for test 2, where I'll be firing this thing full auto. I should always aim between, right here between these two, make it a much better spot. And I will not control the recoil. Well, as you can see, when I hit that first bullet, it's somehow bounced here and it went all the way up and then even over the pipe and hit the this vent, which definitely has some high recoil despite being a 80 stability gun. But of course, with the attachments and the right setup, you can probably make it even better. Alright, now I'm going to do for test 2 of me trying to control the recoil as I can. Well, not really the best, because since it does have some, does go up and bounce from the side of the vertical recoil, as I try to control it down, it did shoot a little bit up to the left. So it's definitely manageable-ish. Well, you've seen with one MP5. Now we're gonna have 2 MP5s. And sadly, you don't even see the reload animation for the SMGs. Alright. Time to go loud. The moment I switch to full auto, these veins are going through the roof. Holy God, you could probably even see some bullet dent over that wall over here. Jesus Christ. Alright, now you know what this test's going to be. Well, let's see the results. Going loud. Of course, there's actually a cap when the recoil goes up and is even insane, so it stops all my bullets there, which is crazy. So it stopped around here with that pipe. There are probably some over here, over that vent. Alright, now it's time for now trying to control this beast. Yeah, I did my best as I can as it goes up, but once it goes down and the camera stops shaking, I have very much control over that for about 1 second, and then it just stops. Well, it's time to bring out my fully decked MP5s. See you in a minute. Okay, for the sake of not making this video a bit long, I won't include the akimbo version of a fully decked out weapon unless you guys want to see it, but for now I'm just only focused on just the solo guns because they're a bit more detailed, especially the reload animation compared to the akimbos. So here's my fully decked out MP5, and you may notice I have 2 flashlights. Here's one from the LD combo and one from the tactical handguard. Kind of cool. Alright. And of course using the straight magazine, which is supposed to shoot 10mm round, but the damage doesn't seem any difference. And sad part, I don't even see the magazine drop on the ground. Alright. Time to go loud. Oh, by the way, I have it locked in full auto mode, so it makes trying semi-auto a little bit challenging. It's not that bad, except somehow that you may notice how my bullet, I put my red dot right here, and somehow it hits a bullet dent right below it. It's really doesn't make any sense. Okay, now it's time to see how the recoil works without me trying to control it. Of course, I have a maximum stability with the attachments, and well, it just made it to the paint graffiti, so it is definitely way better than the regular MP5. And plus, since I have a sight on, it is much clearer picture than the iron sight, which makes it even better. Alright, now it's time for controlling the recoil test. Of course, it's the result. It is much better than the base version of the MP5. Sure, you have one bullet here, but in terms of the grouping, in terms of where the sight picture is, most of the bullets, I can see every bullet here on the weapon, so it's definitely an improvement. I'll show you one more MP5, and it's my stealth MP5. Hold on for a sec. Alright, I'm back with my stealth build, and guess what? I'm gonna skip the first test and just go over the two tests. One, like full auto without controlling the recoil, and of course the test 3 will be with controlling the recoil. So there's my stealth MP5. Of course, I went to coolest deck with the MP5 SD, adjustable stock, and speculator sight, so I feel like I'm using a weapon from COD 4, which normally would be impossible to have two attachments in multiplayer. You can't have a suppressor or a red dot sight together. But with Payday 2, it's a dream come true. Alright, let's get to it. Going hot. It's about the same result as the fully decked out MP5 I have for the armor build. Alright, now we see me try and control it. Okay, that is actually much better. Wow, that's even better than my other one. And if I due to the help to the fact that the weapon, since I have a suppressor on, the muzzle flash is basically non-existent. And maybe that's why people have a hard time seeing the iron sight, because of the whole firing it. If you guys don't know what I mean by the muzzle flash, I'll just show you this. Well, look how bright my guns fire. Let's actually go here. You can actually see the flash coming out of the barrel of the muzzle of the gun, as opposed to an MP5 SD. You can see there's like a little bit smoke with non-existent. So that maybe also affect how I able to see and control the recoil much more better, and it also helped that I had a sight as opposed to a iron sight, which normally I don't really equip a red dot sight in stealth, but this is one of the few exceptions, since the Uzi has, not the Uzi, the MP5 has one of the worst iron sights. Alright, now I'll tell you the conclusion for the MP5. Well, okay, that was stupid. As I was quit the game of leaving the safe house, my game crashed. But luckily nothing really. But there was no loss to anything, so all it did is just kind of waste a couple minutes. But anyway, overall, the MP5 is definitely, well, definitely one of my, I say, of course, favorite SMG. And I would love to try to fire this thing in real life. But in terms of how it performs in-game, it's one of the two SMGs that are essentially similar to each other. The other one being the MPX. It's right here. They're literally the same gun, but you can see the stats are more horrible with this gun. except it has a better thread, quicker reload time, and has a proper extended mags. It's just really a crappy weapon. And sure, the other low damage SMGs has a much higher rate of fire and probably even more ammo than the MP5. But of course, the MP5 triumphs in terms of at least the accuracy. But there's actually one SMG that rivals it, and it's still going on a rival still today, and that is the Uzi. And the reason I say it is it has a much higher base magazine, a bigger threat, but most importantly, way better accuracy. Sure, it may shoot a bit slower, but it's a big trade-off, and I prefer the Uzi over the MP5. But yeah, it's definitely a very interesting gun. I do like to run with it. It's good against weak cops, but in terms of special units, it just doesn't hold up to it. Especially with the accuracy and just the damage it pulls out. It's just definitely doesn't have the slowest time to kill. Of course, that usually goes to the Sterling, then the Uzi, and then kind of tied with the MPX. But the MPX has a larger extended mags, with being at least 50 rounds, and it came able to reload quick. While the MP5 doesn't, and it doesn't help that you had to, when you do an empty reload, you had to cock the bolt, well, the charging handle all the way back to the rear, and then equip a new mag, and then you had to slap the gun. Which, of course, that's probably the only satisfying when you reload the MP5 is doing that HK slap. But it's still a fun SMG. I do use it from time to time, and plus I like to pair it with the G3 or HK21 or other German-related firearms. Thank you for watching, everyone. Until next time, farewell and have a wonderful day, everyone.